Hi everyone, welcome to First Phase Media. This is Mark, and today we will be talking about Readen Holding, a company having primarily a focus on payments and e-commerce, with Richard Klitsie, CEO of the company. How are you doing?
Doing very well, Mark. How about yourself?
I'm good, thank you. For our viewers, could you introduce the company?
Readen actually is already quite an old establishment. I took over the company about 2 years ago, and before that, Mr. Ronald Steenbergen was leading the company. But because of health reasons at that time, he had to, slow down a little bit, and that's why, the company actually went from, to voluntarily to a pink sheet on the OTC market. But the company today, since I took over, is focusing itself on fintech, which are basically our strategies like OKPay, Readen, and the OK app, which we will maybe explain a little bit later. But at the same time, we also have some items in the portfolio that are actually from previous kind of eras. So we have like the Neckermann brand name, and which we are also operating as an e-tailer, but also the e-tailer 2%.hk. That is basically a very old brand name from Hong Kong, retailing fashion. And we also have like a mine doing like a marble kind of mining, so that we are now basically pushing a little bit more new energy in as well. So that's actually in short what our company is. If I go a little bit further on the OKPay, and the OKPay is more the bread and butter kind of establishment, where we have online stores, restaurants, and normal business that basically is accepted by us. But the payment industry is very competitive. So why choose OKPay? So that's why we had to come up with a strategy to bring more value to our merchants. And that's what we actually have done with an app which is called OK app. And the OK app, the same merchants as OKPay are on the OK app, but those merchants provide a discount to all the users. But when the users make, when they actually buy the product in the shop or online, we actually have a team of people available, which we call the partners, but easily explainable by KOLs, that promote those discounts to their family, colleagues, friends, inside their football club, or anywhere. And when those users take advantage of those discounts, those KOLs actually get a percentage of the money as a commission as well. So they are very motivated to push the message out and say, hey, go to this shop, go to this restaurant, and take advantage of that discount. And that's why we are the only payment provider that actually brings customers to our merchants. All the other providers, they say, you can use our service, we will take your money, and that's it. While for us, we say, don't give us the money yet. We bring you the customer. Once the customer buys, then you share the money with us. And that's a very different kind of thing.
Oh, sure. Yeah, it makes a big difference between you and your competitors, for sure. And I wanted to talk about your other sector you are involved in, the marble industry. So could you tell us why it is a big opportunity for Readen Holding to be part of it?
Just to talk about the marble, it's an establishment kind of product from the past. A lot of context behind in terms of the DIY shops in Europe, which Readen did a lot of business with in the past. Marble is in that segment as well. We know a lot of the suppliers in China, but also in Europe as well. And marble doesn't sound very sexy, but in China alone, the estimated in 2030 is about 17.7 billion US dollars in revenue just for marble. And we don't just do any marble, we do onyx. And onyx is the higher level of marble that is out there in the market. You can use it, as fixtures, lamps. It's very, it's almost like a see-through kind of product if you cut it very thin. But it's very stylish, which is like not your normal kind of marble. When we actually invested in this, we actually looked at a Baker and Tilly report that showed that we had the mine that has about $1 billion US of onyx reserves in Turkey. And we basically thought, hey, this is a very nice and interesting investment. And we took only based on a 10% of the value that was by the Baker and Tilly report. So we thought we got a good deal out of it. That's why we said, hey, we have the contacts, so let's go for it. And we are now actually shipping. The mine has been, because of COVID, I think for the last 2 years, they were on a very low energy kind of level. But since, a month now, we ship the onyx to Spain, Italy, China, and other parts of Asia as well.
Okay. Let's get to know more about you, Richard. Could you tell us your background and why you have joined Readen Holding?
I have been in the corporate industry with companies like GE. So with those, that background where I was normally handling the business for business development for Asia Pacific and the EMEA as well. With that, you get a lot of, contacts, background information on managing a business. And especially when I look at Readen, there was a lot of business development that had to be done. So that's why when, the shareholders, the majority shareholders of Readen started to ask, hey, do you want to join Readen and basically take charge of what is going on? We said, hey, that sounds like an interesting opportunity. And since we started, I think we've shown that we're going into the right way. And of course, it's not only myself. We hired a good team of people as well, both in the IT, but also in public relations. We have some ex-journalists from Hong Kong that has joined us as well. We have some IT people in the region, and with the team, basically, we are able to push all the goals forward.
Okay, so a strong and experienced team, right?
Exactly.
Okay. Let's talk about your financials. Could you tell us what your share structure is?
We have a share structure that is, we have probably about 330 million shares outstanding at the moment. The majority of those shares are owned by insiders, including myself, but also some other larger shareholders as well. But we have at this moment a free float of about 30 to 32 million shares. And you can see in the last numbers that we filed on the OTC that we basically had our revenues up by about 283%. And we want to continue that for our future numbers as well.
Okay.
But we have some shareholdings, like for instance in our marble mine. We have shareholdings in IT place in China. And that's basically where most of our assets are. But I think our assets are our people, the structure that we have built up. We have the brand names like Neckermann, 2%, but also the newly built up brand names like Reddy's and OK App and OK Pay as well.
A little bit earlier, you were talking about growth. So quarter over quarter, does your company realize the continuous growth?
We actually have, we have good hopes for that. We are now actually busy with our OK App Travel Club. And the OK Pay Travel Club is an option that is payable for our members. We now estimate in the next 12 months that we probably will attract about 350,000 OK app members. And we estimate that probably about 20% of those are basically payable clients. And they will pay something like, the list price is 1,999 Hong Kong dollars. So if you count 350,000, 20%, they just pay into the travel club. That's already a nice start. But when people are going on the travel club, they will start booking hotel rooms, flight tickets, and we will expect the revenue from that coming in as well. So with all of that, we think that the growth for the next quarter will be pretty good, I would say.
Okay, just to jump back on the marble industry, do you have any forecasts about revenue that would bring to the company?
I think for the marble, I think it's still a little bit too early because the main market, China, is still, with a lot of COVID restrictions. Okay. Although we see some optimistic growth with, some of our old contacts, but I think it's still a little bit too early to make a commitment on that as well, because it's quite difficult to see how the COVID will play out in the next quarter.
Okay. Just to summarize everything, if you had to say what were the Readen Holdings highlights and strength, what would they be?
The highlights is basically that we are quite undervalued in terms of our share price. If you see at the evaluation of the mine, the evaluation of the Neckermann brand name, the evaluation of the 2% brand name, by just taking these out, we probably already are on a higher share price where we are today. So you can actually really see that value actually is in the share price, but we now have to start, seeing that it actually gets to the right value, which we think at this moment is very undervalued. But what we see as the strong points of our company is that we have an experienced team. We are quite lean. We don't have a bureaucracy that we have to go through. So we can easily and quickly make decisions about new business ideas and push the business forward.
And in the short term, what could investor witness? Could we see more development of the OK Pay or OK app or anything else?
No, it's like we want to stay focused on the fintech kind of ideas. So OK Pay, OK app, and we are working on other kind of structures for that as well. But at this moment, the OK app and the OK Pay is focused in Hong Kong. And Hong Kong is a very competitive area, North America and in Europe, where we easily could roll out the OK app, the OK Pay as well. We've seen this with other companies like Foodpanda, Uber Eats. They start in small locations, but once the concept has been proven, you can easily roll it out in those areas. And of course, we will always continuously think about how to use the merchants, how to bring more business to them through the help of the app, OK app.
Okay. For my last question, I'm going to take a long-term outlook. Where would you see the company at in 5 years?
In 5 years, in terms of payment provider, we definitely want to be a leading payment provider. We want to see the OK app running around, not only in Hong Kong, but also in mainland China, North America, Southeast Asia, India, and Europe as well. And I think that's where we will see most of the growth coming from proven concepts that we then basically roll out through the rest of the regions.
Okay. Well, it was my last question. Thank you for your time, Richard.
Excellent. Thank you very much, Mark, and hope to talk to you more.
點樣加入成為 OK App 會員？ OK App 係一個消費折扣推薦 App， 為消費者同商戶創造一個全新嘅平台。我哋為 OK 會員同時提供網店及實體消費嘅優惠。使用 OK App 俾你可以揾到就近你附近商戶嘅吸引折扣。想成為 OK App 會員，你需要有一位 OK Partner 向你分享一個邀請入會嘅 QR Code 邀請碼。OK Partner 可以係個人身份，亦可以係一間公司機構，例如慈善團體。當你喺智能手機收到由 OK Partner 傳送俾你嘅邀請信息之後，只要點擊信息裡面嘅連結，你就可以下載 OK App。你亦可以直接由 Apple App Store 或 Google Play Store 下載 OK App。下載完成之後，就可以啟動 OK App， 填上基本資料及邀請碼登記成為 OK 會員。等我哋一齊嚟登記一次啊！喺登入頁面嘅最底部，你可以按入馬上註冊。喺呢度，你需要填上一啲基本資料，例如姓名、電郵、電話號碼、自選密碼等。然後輸入推薦你嗰位 OK Partner 嘅邀請碼。唔好忘記上載一幅個人照片，你可以用手機即時拍攝，或者從手機嘅相簿裏面揀取上載。下一步，你需要剔選接受個人私隱條款及細則嘅小方格。最後，你會收到一封電郵，以確認你嘅電郵地址正確。當呢一步完成之後，你就可以使用你嘅電郵地址及密碼登入 OK App。而家你就可以享用 OK 商戶所提供嘅折扣優惠。當你喺 OK App 商戶消費之後，用 OK App 向商戶展示相關嘅優惠 QR Code。提提你，如果 OK 商戶係網店嘅話，就可以喺付款嘅時候輸入上面呢個優惠碼。OK 商戶掃描 QR Code 之後，好快你就會喺 OK App 收到付款通知，按入通知，根據指示喺 OK App 裏面填入你嘅信用卡號碼等嘅資料，就可以順利付款啦。請記得喺完成付款之後，為商戶留下評分同埋評論，